Ethan Caldwell, a 32-year-old architect with a warm smile and a knack for designing homes that feel like sanctuaries. He's been married to Laura, his college sweetheart, for 3.5 years. Their life in a cozy Seattle suburb seems perfect. Morning coffee rituals, late-night movie marathons, even little fights about who forgot to take out the trash. It all feels like the messy, beautiful rhythm of love. Ethan's the kind of guy who believes in forever. He's poured his heart into this marriage, sketching dream homes for their future, imagining kids running through the halls. But perfection? It's an illusion, and Ethan's about to learn that the hard way. It starts with the small stuff. Laura's been distant lately, her laughter a little forced, her eyes darting away when he asks about her day. She's a graphic designer, always juggling deadlines, so Ethan chalks it up to stress. He doesn't push. He's patient, supportive, the kind of husband who leaves her favorite snacks on the counter after a long day. But then, the clues pile up. A text she forgets to hide lights up her phone one night. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe." It's not from Ethan. His stomach twists, but he tells himself it's nothing. Maybe a friend. Maybe a typo. He's not the jealous type, right? Weeks pass and the doubt festers. Laura's late nights at the office stretch longer. She smells like cologne Ethan doesn't wear. One evening, while she's in the shower, Ethan's curiosity wins. He grabs her phone, hands trembling, and scrolls through her messages. What he finds isn't just a fling, it's a full-blown affair with her coworker, Miles. Texts spanning months, photos, plans to meet up. "You're my escape," she writes to Miles. Ethan's her cage. His heart doesn't just break, it shatters into a million jagged pieces. 3.5 years of trust, gone in a swipe. He doesn't scream. He doesn't confront her. Ethan's not built for chaos. Instead, he sits on their couch, staring at the life they've built, the framed photos mocking him from the walls. Lara steps out, towel-wrapped and humming, oblivious to the storm brewing in his silence. "You okay, hon?" she asks, her voice so casual it stings. Ethan nods, forces a smile, and waits. That night, he lies awake beside her, her breathing steady while his world crumbles. He decides then, he's leaving. Not with a fight, not with tears, but quietly, like a ghost slipping through the cracks. The next morning, Laura's at work. Ethan packs a single suitcase, essentials only. No note, no explanation. He leaves his wedding ring on the kitchen counter, a silent goodbye. He drives to a friend's place across town, turns off his phone, and cuts every tie. No social media updates, no mutual friends clued in. He vanishes. Lara comes home to an empty house, the ring glinting under the kitchen light. She calls, texts, but Ethan's gone. For him, it's not just about the betrayal. It's the realization that the woman he loved doesn't exist anymore, maybe never did. Days turn into weeks. Ethan rebuilds in the shadows, crashing on his buddy Jake's couch, taking freelance gigs to stay afloat. He's not okay, not even close. Nights are the worst, haunted by memories of Lara's laugh, her touch, the life he thought was real. But he doesn't go back. He can't. The affair wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, and Ethan chooses himself this time. He fades into a new routine, a man erased from his own story, until a year later, when the past comes knocking. What happens when the woman who broke you tracks you down? That's where we're headed in part 2. If this hit you in the feels, smash that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Would you confront or walk away like Ethan? Stay tuned, because this story's just getting started. A year has passed since Ethan Caldwell slipped out of his old life, leaving behind the wreckage of a 3.5-year marriage shattered by Laura's affair. He's not the same man anymore. The Seattle suburb, with its picket fences and shared dreams, feels like a distant memory, replaced by a gritty one-bedroom apartment on the edge of Portland. Ethan's carved out a new existence, piecing himself together bit by bit. He's taken up freelance architecture jobs, sketching blueprints for strangers instead of the family he once imagined. His hands still draw, but his heart's gone quiet, a hollow drum beating just to keep him moving. Life's simpler now, stripped down to survival. Jake, his lifeline that first chaotic month, helped him land this place. It's small, the walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' arguments, but it's his. No framed photos, no traces of Lara. He's erased her from his space, though not from his mind. Nights are still brutal. Sleep comes in fits, interrupted by flashes of her smile, her lies, the cologne that wasn't his. Ethan doesn't drink to forget, he works. His desk is a chaos of coffee mugs and drafting paper, a fortress against the past. He's not healed, but he's functioning, a ghost who's learned to haunt his own life. Portland's gray skies suit him. He blends into the city's rhythm, a man in a worn jacket grabbing coffee at the same hole-in-the-wall spot each morning. The barista, a tattooed girl named Sam, knows his order. Black, no sugar. She's the closest thing he has to a friend here, though they barely talk. Ethan's not hiding, not exactly, but he's invisible by choice. No one from his old life knows where he is. He ditched his phone, got a new number, severed every thread. Lara's calls stopped months ago, or so he assumes. He doesn't check. He's free, or at least he tells himself that. Then, on a rainy Tuesday in March, the past cracks through his carefully built walls. Ethan's sketching a client's loft when his buzzer screeches. He freezes. No one visits. Deliveries go to the lobby. Sam doesn't know his address. His pulse quickens as he peers through the peephole. There she is, Laura. Older, thinner, her dark hair damp and clinging to her face. She's real, not a ghost in his head. 1,000 questions hit him at once. How did she find him? Why now? He doesn't open the door. Not yet. He just watches, breath shallow as she shifts on her feet, clutching a soaked umbrella. Laura? His voice escapes before he can stop it, rough and low through the wood. She startles, eyes locking on the peephole. Ethan, please. I know you're there. Her tone's desperate, a crack in the armor he remembers. He doesn't move. A year of silence hangs between them, heavy as the rain outside. I need to talk to you, she says, softer now. It's important. Important. The word stings. Wasn't their marriage important? Wasn't he? Ethan's hand hovers over the lock, torn between rage and the pull of a voice he once loved. He opens the door, not because he wants to, but because he needs answers. She steps inside, dripping on his cheap rug, and the air shifts. Up close, she's a stranger. Her eyes, once bright, are shadowed, her lips tight with something unspoken. You look different, she says, almost a whisper. He doesn't respond. He's leaner now, sharper, his jaw set in a way it never was before. How'd you find me, he asks, voice cold. She hesitates. Jake? He didn't want to tell me, but I begged. Ethan curses under his breath. Loyalty's a fragile thing. She sits, uninvited, on his threadbare couch. I've been looking for you for months, she starts. After you left, I fell apart. Miles, it's over. It was a mistake. Her words are a punch, but Ethan doesn't flinch. A mistake? 3.5 years traded for a mistake. He stays standing, arms crossed, a wall between them. Why are you here, Laura? She swallows, eyes glistening. I need you to hear me out. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm pregnant. The room tilts, pregnant. His mind races. Is it his? Miles's? Does it even matter? Ethan's silence is deafening. Lara fidgets, waiting for something, anything. Say something, she pleads, but he can't. The man who loved her is gone, buried under a year of pain. You should go, he says finally, voice flat. She stands, defeated, and heads for the door. This isn't over, she whispers, stepping into the rain. The door clicks shut, and Ethan's alone again, the word pregnant echoing in his skull. Is it a trap? A truth? He doesn't know, but one thing's clear. His quiet exit just got louder. Ethan Caldwell stands in his cramped Portland apartment, the echo of Lara's words still ringing in his ears. Pregnant. The door's shut, the rain's drumming outside, but inside, it's suffocating. He sinks onto the couch where she sat moments ago, her damp imprint still warm. A year ago, he walked away from their 3.5-year marriage, from her affair with Miles, from everything he thought was real. He built walls, a new life, a fragile peace. Now with one word, she's cracked it all open again. Pregnant, his mind spins. Is it his? Is it a lie? Does he even want to know? He doesn't sleep that night. The clock ticks past midnight, then 3, then dawn. Ethan's no stranger to sleepless nights, but this one's different. It's not just pain keeping him awake, it's possibility. He does the math. A year apart, no contact, no slip-ups. If she's pregnant now, it's not his. Logic says it's Miles's kid or someone else's. But logic doesn't stop the what-ifs. What if she's lying to pull him back? What if she's desperate, alone, and this is her last card? He hates that he still cares. Hates that her voice can still twist something inside him. Morning comes, gray and relentless. Ethan drags himself to his desk, sketches half-heartedly, but the lines blur. He grabs his phone, the new one Lara shouldn't have his number for, and stares at it. No messages. She didn't push after last night, didn't blow him up like she did when he first left. That restraint unnerves him more than her showing up. He calls Jake instead. You gave her my address? He snaps when his friend picks up. Jake's voice is thick with guilt. She showed up at my place, man. Crying, begging, said it was life or death. I couldn't say no. Ethan hangs up, pissed but not surprised. Lara always knew how to play people. He needs air. He grabs his jacket, heads out into the drizzle, and walks. Portland's streets are alive with people who don't know him, don't care. He passes Sam's coffee shop, but doesn't stop. She'd ask why he looks like hell, and he's got no answers. His feet take him to the riverfront, where he stares at the water, hands shoved deep in his pockets. The last time he saw Lara, she was his wife. Now she's a stranger with a bomb strapped to her words. Pregnant. He can't shake it. He doesn't want her back, doesn't love her anymore, but there's a pull he can't name. Duty? Pity? Something uglier? By afternoon, he's back home, soaked and restless. There's a note under his door, slipped there while he was out. Lara's handwriting, unmistakable. I'm at the diner on 5th. Please come. I'll wait until 6. No please, no drama, just a time and place. Ethan crumples it, tosses it, then fishes it out of the trash. He doesn't owe her anything. She cheated, she lied, she broke them. But he's tired of running from ghosts. At 5:45, he's there, pushing through the diner's glass door. She's in a corner booth, nursing a tea, looking smaller than he remembers. She doesn't smile when he sits, "Thanks for coming," she says, voice steady but thin. Ethan doesn't reply, just watches her. Up close, the changes hit harder. She's pale, her cheekbones sharper, her hands fidgeting with the cup. "I'm 4 months along," she starts. "It's not yours, it's Miles. He's gone, left when I told him." Ethan's chest loosens slightly, not his. Good. But she keeps going. "I'm not here to drag you back. I needed you to know why I fell apart after you left. I was a mess, Ethan. The affair, losing you, it broke me too." He wants to laugh, bitter and sharp, but he doesn't. "You don't get to play victim," he says, low and hard. "You chose Miles. You chose to lie." She flinches, nods. "I know. I'm not asking you to fix me. I'm asking you to hear me." Her eyes well up, but she blinks it back. "I loved you. I screwed it up, but I did. When you disappeared, I didn't know how to live with that." Ethan leans back, arms crossed. "So what? You're pregnant, alone, and I'm supposed to care?" Lara shakes her head. "No, I'm moving to California. Fresh start. I just couldn't leave without this. Without you knowing I'm sorry." She slides an envelope across the table. "Divorce papers, sign them whenever. I won't fight you." Ethan stares at it, the final cut of a thread he thought he'd already severed. She stands, grabs her coat. "Take care, Ethan." She's gone before he can respond, the bell above the door chiming her exit. He sits there, the envelope heavy in his hands. Sorry doesn't erase 3.5 years. It doesn't undo Miles, the texts, the betrayal. But it's something. Closure, maybe. He's free, truly free, unless the weight of her words keeps him chained. Back home, he signs the papers, mails them the next day. The past is done. Or is it? Lara's leaving, but she's left him with questions he can't outrun. Ethan Caldwell mails the divorce papers the morning after Lara's diner goodbye, the envelope slipping into the mailbox with a thud that feels final. A year after ghosting his 3.5-year marriage, betrayed by her affair with Miles, he's officially untethered. No more late-night hauntings of what was, no more wondering if she'd find him. She did, she spoke, she left. Portland's rain keeps falling, but inside his tiny apartment, something shifts. The air's lighter, or maybe he's just tired of carrying the weight. He's not healed, not whole, but he's done running from shadows. Days stretch into weeks. Ethan throws himself into work, sketching homes with a focus he hasn't felt in months. The freelance gigs pile up, his reputation growing in Portland's tight-knit architecture scene. He's good at this, building for others what he lost for himself. The one-bedroom's still sparse, but he adds a plant, a small green thing Sam from the coffee shop insists he won't kill. "It's a survivor like you," she says with a grin, handing it over during one of his morning stops. He doesn't argue. Survivors don't need much, just light and a little care. Sam's more than a barista now. She's a constant, her sharp wit cutting through his quiet. One day, she drags him to a local art show, claiming he needs to see something besides blueprints. He goes, reluctantly, and finds himself laughing for the first time in ages. Her energy's chaotic, the opposite of Lara's calculated charm, and it's disarming. Ethan doesn't call it a date, doesn't call it anything, but he's there again the next week when she suggests a hike. She talks too much, teases him about his brooding, and he lets her. It's not love, not yet, but it's a crack in the wall he's built. Lara's gone silent again, off to California with her unborn child and her regrets. Ethan doesn't check on her, doesn't need to. The divorce is finalized, a quiet stamp on a life he's shed. He keeps the signed papers in a drawer, not as a trophy but as proof he made it out. Nights are easier now. The memories still creep in, her laugh, her lies, but they're fainter, less sharp. He sleeps through them, wakes to coffee and rain and keeps moving. Freedom's not loud, it's this, a steady rhythm he's learning to trust. Then a curveball lands. Jake calls, voice tight. Lara's mom reached out, she's worried. Lara's not doing great down there. Ethan's gut twists, but he stays firm. "Not my problem anymore," he says and means it. Jake hesitates. "She's sick, man. Pregnancy's rough and Miles bailing messed her up bad." Ethan listens, feels the old pull, but doesn't bend. "She's got family, she'll figure it out." He hangs up, stares at the plant on his windowsill. Lara's choices aren't his to fix. He's not her savior, not her husband, not even her ghost. That night, he dreams of her anyway. Not the Lara who cheated, but the one from early days, wide-eyed and laughing on their first trip to the coast. It's not longing, it's goodbye. He wakes, the dream fading, and feels lighter than he has in a year. The past isn't gone, but it's not his prison. He texts Sam, asks if she's free for coffee, not at her shop but somewhere new. She says yes, and he smiles, small but real. It's a step, not a leap, but it's his. Months roll on. Ethan's apartment fills out, a bookshelf here, a rug there. He's not invisible anymore. Clients know his name, Sam knows his quirks, and he knows the streets of Portland like their home. One evening, sketching by the window, he pauses. The design's a house, not for a client but for him, a vision of what could be. Not the dream he had with Lara, but something new, rough-edged and honest. He doesn't need it yet, doesn't have the cash or the reason, but drawing it feels like reclaiming something she took. A year and a half after he walked away, Ethan's not the man who left. He's harder in places, softer in others. The betrayal still stings if he pokes at it, but he doesn't. Lara's a chapter closed, her pregnancy, her pain, her life, all hers to carry. He's got his own. Sam's at his place one night, sprawled on the couch with a beer when she asks, "You ever think about going back?" He doesn't hesitate. "No, back's not where I'm headed." She nods, like she gets it, and they sit in comfortable silence. It's enough. The story ends here, not with a bang, but with a quiet strength. Ethan's not fixed, not perfect, but he's standing. The echoes of his silent exit have faded, replaced by the hum of a life he's building, piece by piece. He's not running, not hiding, just living. And that's the win. If this journey hit you, subscribe for more stories that dig deep. Comment below, where's Ethan headed next? Thanks for sticking with me through this ride.